I'm delighted to say yesterday we had a full complement of racing here on Racing TV. We had racing at Newbury. We'll be reflecting on that later in the programme. We also had racing at Warwick, where my first guest was in action again, riding yet another winner, and that simply has become the norm in recent weeks.
And it's still Savaro mixed with a 2-length lead over T-Clipper in the centre. Setty Hill back in third on the inside. On their way up the running, Diddley, Leave You Out 2 fell at the last. Savaro mix is holding on really gamely out in front under Gavin Sheehan. Savaro mix made virtually all. Almazar Guard keeps responding to Gavin Sheehan. He's got a 3-length lead coming into the last, which he landed running at. Dr. Sanderson's gone second. Molyneux has cracked. They're halfway up the running. Almazar Guard is an improving 5-year-old. He's made 1 or 2 mistakes, but it hasn't stopped him, and he's won this readily. Almazar Guard.
Lisa Navasi trying to get to stick with Bill as they come towards the final obstacle now. Nearly a stone in weight difference here. On the left, stick with Bill. On the right, Lisa Navasi. Dublin 4 clamping over it. Lost third to Iconic Muddle. Stick with Bill in front, but Lisa Navasi now trying to produce a challenge in the closing stages. 11 stone 12 on the back of Stick with Bill, and he's carried it to victory. She feet noseband, and on the right coming into it very strongly. Last fence now, very little between Midnight Shadow and Itchy Feet. They've left the others behind. Lorena was pulled up before the last, and Itchy Feet in front now with about a 2-3 length advantage, Gavin Sheehan, and Itchy Feet is the winner of the Betway Scilly Isles.
Well, he's well on his way to his best ever season, but he's got the high-profile horses to help him as well. 63 winners for this campaign and counting, and the assistance of some of the country's most powerful owners, most notably Andrew and Kate Brooks, and some of the best trainers as well. He is, of course, Gavin Sheehan. Don't let me down after that build-up.
It's a good build-up.
Good morning. It's good to see you. It's a build-up that's well warranted. I don't suppose, even though you're an optimist, that you could have imagined this season could have gone quite as well as it has.
No, I knew I had a good start in that, but it was just trying to keep the ball rolling, and it has kept on rolling, which I'm lucky enough. But we need to keep pushing now on to Cheltenham and Aintree.
So just before we go back in time a little bit, worth looking forward, it appears as though there's some serious horses for the Cheltenham Festival. Yesterday's winner, Rouge Vive, Itchy Feet, Simply the Bets, St Calvados, they'll all turn up there in those Brooks colours. Yeah,
very much looking forward to them. You just need to put our heads together and see which race we'll run them in. But yeah, they're exciting, and you know, the few of them have form around Cheltenham as well, which is good.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, and of course your breakthrough Cheltenham Festival winner a few years ago on Cole Harden. But take me right back to the start, because I'm right in thinking you don't really come from a horse racing background, and indeed your mother, the last thing she wanted was for you to become a jockey. How did you manage to defy her and defy the odds?
Yeah, our family, you know, I've got 3 brothers and 2 sisters, but we were always into sports. Father was big into sports. We'd done hurling and football, soccer, you name it, we kind of did it. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I kind of got into horses, and I was lucky enough that I have a good base down in Dunmanway, West Cork, that they were big into horse racing, pony racing more so than anything. But there was Castle Racing Syndicate, a team of lads. Davy Keane there was brilliant. He was the Aidan O'Brien, Vincent O'Brien of the pony racing. But yeah, I just kind of went up messing around in ponies, kind of falling off and getting back on and messing away that way. But it just built from all of that, really, just messing around, and bought myself a donkey and tried to break that in myself off reading a book. I had a bit that was about that size for probably a Shire horse. Put that in his mouth and tried to break him. But yeah, a lot of good stories back then, messing around with Barry Donovan and the ponies up there, the little 12-2 ponies, and yeah, just pony racing kind of. I had a good break pony racing and rode a lot of nice horses. Shaker Bar was probably the main one. He won a couple of times at Dingle.
The famous Dingle Derby?
Not the Dingle Derby, he had the Golden Mile, which was the champion hurdle, if you like. But yeah, it was just always a good buzz. I had always a good atmosphere. Rode out for Jerry Cully, Robert Heiner, John Murphy, and just good friends and good fun, and I thought this is what I wanted to do.
So how young an age were you already feeling that you were sort of a competitive rider?
Probably when I was about 19.
Yeah.
I got into it when I was about 11 or 12, I'd say. Done it for a bit of fun, and then when I went up to Michael Harrigan's Point to Point, and he kind of sat me down one day and he said, "This is a business, not a hobby." But I ended up going to John Murphy's as riding 21 races as an amateur, and then got a fall and made the big move over to England.
I just want you to rewind a little bit, because I can't let anyone say that they've had a sit-down conversation with Michael Harrigan without expanding on it a little bit, because this is one of the important characters of the game. You don't hear so much of him, haven't heard so much of him in the last decade, but when he was in his pomp, he was quite a force to be reckoned with.
He was, yeah. He did a lot of good horses, didn't he? You seen Beaver Salmon there the other day. A lot of good horses, but he had a lot of good jockeys went through him, and you know, there's a lot of grounding at Michael Harrigan's. He was brilliant, and you know, he gave me a lot of help. I didn't know an awful lot about jumping at the time, and I used to school there quite regularly. Lived inside his house for a couple of weeks, actually with Adrian Heskin. He was there a little bit before me, but yeah, it was just good grounding there, and you kind of learned your job. But I kind of didn't really take it too much as a job at the time, and he kind of said that to me. You know, and I was riding Point to Points, you know, so he was trying to win Point to Points with them and then sell them on, and you know, I just enjoying the whole game a bit too much and not taking it probably serious enough.
You came to England and joined Charlie Mann, and you've often talked about the grounding that he gave you. And if you were saying that you were a bit lacking in focus or you weren't taking it seriously, how did Charlie make you apply yourself when you went there?
Well, when I went there, to be fair, lovely place, Lambourne. You know, really is, and he didn't have a conditioner there at the time. I'd Noel Feely, so you know, I used to try and base myself off Noel. But anytime I went racing, he used to go racing with Charlie, and he told me walk the track and I'd go around there. He'd bring me in and kind of go through the races with me. You know, it wasn't ride the horse and that's that. It was do the whole process. And I can remember going to Cheltenham with him one day, and he was driving and asked me, did I ride around the chase course there? I said no. He said, have you rode over hurdles there? I said no. He said, have you ever been to Cheltenham? I said no. He said, geez, if I had known that, I wouldn't have put you on the horse. Bench warrant, I finished third, and he got me a picture, and I only got it when I got back home or the following day, and he said, you can have that picture. I said, oh, brilliant, thanks very much. It's a lovely picture of me riding bench warrant around Cheltenham. And he said, yeah, but you have to do all the stones on my drive. So I had to go picking weeds for the next couple of weeks to get the picture, but you had to work for what you got. I worked hard inside in Charlie's, and I reaped the rewards. I had 7 winners my first year with Charlie, and I had 24 the next year with Charlie Mann.
Because he's an interesting guy. We've had him on the show. He doesn't conform to type. He doesn't behave the way that necessarily all other trainers do. He's his own man. Do you think that was an advantage for you, that he was someone who was just prepared to do his own thing and treat you perhaps slightly differently to how other trainers would their conditional jockeys?
I think it was great for me, really, that he made me work for what I got. But Charlie was very fair, and he's been very good to his jockeys.
Noel Feely always says the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. David Cross was there at the time as well, and he was a champion amateur. But he's got good grounding, he's good horses, he kind of done things right. You know, I think a lot of people nowadays almost have things a bit too easy. They've got days off, evenings off, one evening off a week and things. And obviously times are changing, but you go to Charlie Mann's and, you know, I had to work through lunchtimes, showing horses for owners, but that was great for me, you know, speaking to owners and things at lunchtime as well, and it was just all good grounding, and, you know, he'd done the simple things right.
You're an old head, but you're still only 28.
27.
27, not even 28. And it's well worth remembering in a sense that you've crammed an awful lot into a very short space of time. But I always get the feeling when I talk to you and when I watch you and when I hear you talk, that you wanted everything to go quicker. You wanted the success to come more quickly. You were impatient and hungry for that success very early.
Yeah, it definitely was. You know, now I'm kind of looking towards the future, whereas my future was the next day. Everything was going to happen now. Yeah, I was a bit impatient, but I think we are kind of in this game. Yeah, I wanted the big winners and the big success straight away, but because I had that good grounding and things, it's made me mature and, you know, kind of more look to the future, and there's bigger and better days ahead.
And I know that your relationship with Warren Greatest, while still strong in many respects, has had its ups and downs. Would it be fair to say that you found each other at exactly the right time in your respective careers? You sort of hit the sweet spot, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. Charlie Mann probably went from 44 horses down to about 24. So that, to me, was kind of less rides, less winners. So I was kind of half, you know, looking to go, you know, to a bigger yard, thinking, you know, the world is my oyster. But spoke to Warren, and he kind of got on to Chris Broad, who's my agent. He got on to him, and I went up there schooling one day and just kind of, yeah, made the move over there. He had Tom Gardner as a conditional. I think he was after moving to Oliver Sherwood's. But yeah, it was a good move because Warren was hungry, he wanted more things, had a couple of rides for him, and things went well. And then fell in, and all of a sudden things really took off between us.
And he was young, you were young, the horses were increasing in quality, you were riding them all in the morning as well. How valuable was that?
I think very valuable. I knew the horses inside out. I think he moved from about 27 or 8 horses up to 44, something like that. So he was stepping up, and, you know, things were increasing. I schooled all the horses, schooled them all the time, done all the work, knew the staff very well, and, you know, I helped out in the staff as well, you know, just to, I think it was important that, like, if one's been a bit lazy, I was upside them, telling them to grab a hold of it and different things, and yeah, it was good fun that year, and the year after and the year after that, but it was, yeah, it was brilliant.
And of course your crowning glory in your time with Warren, when you were there as sort of full-time stable jockey, if you like, was Cole Harden winning the World Hurdle. You look back on that now, and do you look back on him as an overachiever, essentially?
You could look back at it and say he probably overachieved, but that day there was absolutely nobody getting past me. You know, I could have went sooner and kicked even harder, but he was just in the zone that day, and there was nothing going to get past me that day.
He was in the zone and you were in the zone. I was quite interested in a comment I read that Warren had given you a bit of a motivational speech beforehand, which was quite unlike the talk that trainers give jockeys ahead of races. Just tell me a little bit about that.
Warren legged me up on a horse, and we spoke about what we were going to do, and he, you know, he bigged me up before he legged me up, and I thought that was that. Next thing, come around on the far side, and Warren was there beside me, pumping me up again, but just to get me in the zone and probably take away everything else, and just say, this is it, this is the big day, and, you know, we got to do it. And I was a bit sharp and a bit more switched on probably from that.
Were you someone who needed that confidence given to you?
Not really. You know, I had a head camera on that day as well. It was one of the first head cams. But it's funny when I look back at that and see Warren beside me, because he's given me that extra bit. I went out, and every horse I sit on, I think we're kind of almost invincible and we'll always win. You know, you go with that attitude, and I think you have to go with that attitude. But then Warren there beside me, just, I suppose when I got down to the start, I was a bit more switched on and a bit more up for it, and a bit more, I don't care about anybody else. This is kind of our day and it's our race.
Amazing horse, and a fantastic ride as well. I think that was widely acknowledged at the time. Have you ever ridden a horse tougher than that?
I wouldn't say so, no. He would have literally laid down for me.
And what difference did it make to you in terms of your psyche when you were going out to ride horses that day? What difference did that day make?
I had the couple of days, it was funny because the couple of weeks leading up to that I used to mess with the lads at home, Graham Baines, who used to ride him out and just practice the celebration and things, and you know, we really did think he had a big chance, but yeah, I was proper in the zone for that day.
And what about afterwards?
Afterwards it was a good buzz afterwards. It didn't really hit home to what I've actually done and how big it actually was. But I learned a lot from that day as well, and how you kind of approach the big days.
Did it give you an added level of expectation as to where your career was going to go next?
I'm very realistic about things, you know, and I kind of try to work out in my head myself what's going to happen. Cole Harden I thought was going to win at Aintree after that, and I thought he was going to go on and he was going to be my star horse, but things didn't quite work out that way, and kind of was looking for the next horse then, as such, because things just didn't work out with him, and he kind of had a few little niggly problems, but looked on for the next horse.
And as far as your own career is concerned, you still ride for Warren, so you clearly have a good relationship still, but you're no longer first jockey there, and you've found other really useful avenues that have taken you places where you want to go. What do you think was the problem, if there was one, at the time?
I don't really know, to be honest. You know, there might have been one or two bigger races that probably he might have felt that got away, but Warren didn't just pick another jockey. He picked the champion jockey, Dickie Johnson. I mean, I look up to Dickie Johnson, and he's been very helpful for me, but I suppose for Warren, he was after getting 75 horses inside the yard at the time, and you know, it's a lot easier for owners and things to say, yes, we want the champion jockey. It's you know, and Warren probably told me he's a good backup. I've a very good relationship from him. I was looking forward to riding Missed Approach today. I had 2 rides for Warren yesterday. We've still got a very good relationship, but you know, you take away all the positives from that one negative, you know, and I'm quite happy, you know, the way things worked out.
Yeah, and it's clearly worked out really well for you, because it's given you still the association with the yard and still the rides on some of the best horses, but also the freedom to explore other options. And your link up with Jamie Snowden, with Harry Whittington, in particular with the owners, Andrew and Kate Brooks, has been incredibly rewarding for you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, initially I thought, is that me gone out the game? But I spent about 2 hours at home inside the dark and just thought about all the bad things, and then quickly kind of spent another hour after that thinking about what good can come from this. Went about my job for the next couple of days, and then got a text off Jamie Snowden saying, can you come in for a cup of tea? Just
like that?
Yeah, just like that. Spoke to Chris Broad as well, and he was, you know, my name was in the hat for the Rooney job. So then I kind of stood a bit taller again.
Puffed your chest out a little bit. And
I had a good cup of tea with Jamie Snowden, and he kind of said that he'll use me if I can come in and ride out and give him a bit of time, and I thought that was brilliant. You know, so went in there, and you know, Jamie's having his best ever season now. Things are flying, and you know, it might have been one step back, but it was 2 forward. That's the way to look at it. It was just always look for positive, and there was plenty of positives to take out of it, and I have a very good relationship with him, and now I've built other good relationships.
So how are you different as a person now at 27, not 28, 27, to the jockey we saw at 21, 22?
Look, I'm more mature about things. You know, I understand, because things were going so well at the time. I thought, you know, you almost think the game is easy, especially as a conditioner. You're riding all these winners, and you know, you almost think the game is easy. I thought what was very good with me is that it took me about 3 years to lose my claim. So I built up a lot of contacts. But now I think I've got a good head in me now, and I go into things on a positive attitude now, and I just enjoy my racing.
I'm not going to allow this part of the conversation to go without talking about a great friend of yours who died this week, James Banks, because he was very much part of the circle that you grew up with in Lambourne. Tell me a little bit about James.
James was a character, you know, a good friend to many people, good family man. You know, he always used to send Snapchats and things, and he'd always give you a smile. But yeah, James was one of those that when you go racing with him and you think, oh, I got beaten this today, he'd give you a dig in the shoulder and just say, get on with it. Always just making people laugh inside the weighing room. You know, he had a big heart in him, and you know, he was kind of as such the life and soul inside the weighing room. But he had a great career, and just his love for horses. That was amazing. His love for horses and friends and family, and you could talk all day about James, to be honest. It was just very sad what's happened, but yeah.
You could sense at Newbury yesterday the extent to which the whole racing community, not just the members of the weighing room, really had an enormous amount of warmth towards him. Someone who would always clearly light up the room that he was in. Yeah,
he would. He'd come in and, like, James was loud. He'd walk into the weighing room and you knew exactly James was in. He was in the building. You know, everybody had a lot of love for him. There was nobody said a bad word about him. You know, and that's a credit to him and to his family. You know, and he used to just make everybody laugh and joke, and everybody was kind of at ease, you know.
He will be much missed, I'm sure. Gavin, for the moment, thank you very much. Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.